The snow continues to fall outside. The village is quiet. The fields are sleeping beneath a blanket of white. And inside a small cottage, a warm fire glows softly against the darkness. This is where we'll spend our evening. Not in a castle. Not among kings or knights. But inside the humble home of an ordinary medieval family. Because most people in medieval Europe were not nobles. They were farmers. Workers. Craftsmen. Ordinary people living ordinary lives. And tonight, we are joining them. The day's work is over. The animals have been fed. The tools have been put away. And now the family gathers around the fire. The room is small. Much smaller than many modern homes. The walls are made of timber and clay. The floor is packed earth. The furniture is simple. A rough wooden table. A few stools. Perhaps a bench. Nothing luxurious. Nothing unnecessary. Yet despite its simplicity, the cottage feels comfortable. Comfort comes not from possessions, but from familiarity. Everything here has a purpose. Everything has its place. The farmer sits near the fire. His hands stretched toward the warmth. The flames dance softly. Shadows move slowly across the walls. Outside, the wind hums quietly through the night. Inside, there is peace. The smell of supper still lingers in the air. Perhaps the family has eaten vegetable stew. Or thick bread baked earlier in the day. Maybe there was cheese. Perhaps a little salted meat if they were fortunate. The meal was simple. But hunger makes simple food satisfying. And after a cold winter day, nothing tastes better than warm food beside a fire. The children sit nearby. Their faces glowing in the orange light. One of them asks for a story. Another moves closer to the warmth. The farmer smiles. Because evenings are often a time for stories. Not from books. Most people cannot read. Books are rare. Expensive. Precious objects. Instead, stories travel by voice. From parent to child. From grandparent to grandchild. Generation after generation. Tonight, the farmer begins telling a tale he first heard when he was young. A tale about a traveler crossing distant lands. A tale about strange forests. Hidden roads. And forgotten villages. The children listen carefully. Even though they have heard parts of the story before. Because familiar stories are comforting. Just like familiar songs. Or familiar places. The fire crackles softly. The storyteller pauses. Then continues. His voice slow and steady. Outside, snowflakes drift through the darkness. The village sleeps. But inside this cottage, time seems to stand still. Nobody checks a clock. Nobody worries about being productive. Nobody scrolls endlessly through information. There is only the story. Only the warmth. Only the quiet companionship of family. And perhaps that's one reason why evenings felt different in the medieval world. There were fewer distractions. Life was often difficult. But it was also simpler. The family shared the same space. The same conversations. The same routines. Night after night. Year after year. Eventually, the story comes to an end. The children yawn. Their eyes grow heavy. One leans against a parent. Another curls up beside the fire. The warmth makes everyone sleepy. The farmer adds one final piece of wood to the flames. Not too much. Just enough to keep the room warm a little longer. The fire responds with a shower of tiny sparks, floating upward before disappearing. For a moment, nobody speaks. The silence feels comfortable. Not awkward. Not empty. Simply peaceful. The kind of silence that comes from being exactly where you belong. Outside, the church bell sounds faintly in the distance. A slow reminder that another day is ending. The farmer stands, stretching tired muscles. Tomorrow will bring another day. Another sunrise. Another routine. But there is no need to think about tomorrow yet. Tonight is enough. The family prepares for sleep. Blankets are arranged. The fire is allowed to burn lower. Candles are extinguished one by one. The room grows darker. And darker still. Until only a soft orange glow remains. The children are already asleep. The farmer's wife closes her eyes. Soon, the farmer does the same. Outside, winter continues its quiet journey across the countryside. Inside, the cottage becomes still. The fire whispers softly. The wind sings beyond the walls. And somewhere in the darkness, another peaceful medieval night begins. As everyone drifts slowly into sleep, and as the fire fades into glowing embers, we will continue our journey. As the peaceful night passes and the first light of dawn begins to touch the horizon, the medieval village slowly wakes once more. The snow has stopped falling. The air is crisp and cold. Thin trails of smoke rise from cottage chimneys. And somewhere nearby, a rooster announces the arrival of a new day. Inside the small cottage, the children are the first to stir. One rubs sleep from tired eyes. Another stretches beneath a wool blanket. The youngest child remains asleep for a little longer, curled comfortably beside the fading warmth of the fireplace. Unlike children today, medieval children had no schools filled with desks and books. Most never owned a book. Many never learned to read. But that does not mean they spent their childhood without learning. In fact, every day taught them something useful. The village itself was their classroom. The fields. The forests. The workshops. The kitchens. Every corner of daily life offered lessons. As the family gathers for breakfast, the children help with small tasks. One carries water. Another gathers firewood. A third helps feed the chickens outside. These chores are not seen as punishment. They are simply part of life. Everyone contributes. Even the youngest members of the household. Yet despite their responsibilities, children still find plenty of time to play. And play they do. Perhaps more than we imagine. After the morning chores are finished, several children gather near the village green. The cold air fills with laughter. One child throws a wooden ball. Another chases after it. A group invents a game using sticks and stones. The rules change constantly. But nobody seems to mind. The goal is not competition. The goal is enjoyment. Nearby, a dog eagerly joins the excitement, running after the children as they race across the open space. Their laughter echoes through the village. Simple games. Simple joys. And perhaps not so different from childhood today. Some children explore nearby woods, carefully following familiar paths, searching for interesting stones, strange-shaped branches, or animal tracks left in the mud. The forest feels mysterious, full of possibilities. Every tree seems to hide a secret. Every winding path promises adventure. To a child's imagination, even an ordinary forest can feel like an enchanted kingdom. Hours pass quickly. The sun climbs higher. And eventually, play gives way to learning. Not in a classroom, but through observation. A young boy watches his father repair a tool. A girl helps her mother prepare bread dough. Older children learn skills that will one day become their profession. Not through textbooks, but through experience. By watching. By helping. By practicing. Generation after generation, knowledge passes from parent to child. Slowly. Naturally. Just as stories pass from one generation to the next. By afternoon, the children are once again outdoors. Running. Exploring. Imagining. The village may be small, but to them, it feels enormous. Every path is worth exploring. Every field holds possibilities. Every day offers a new adventure. And although life in the Middle Ages could be difficult, childhood still contains moments of wonder. Moments of curiosity. Moments of joy. As the afternoon sunlight begins to fade, mothers call children home. One by one, they return. Their cheeks red from the cold. Their boots muddy from exploration. Their minds full of stories. Soon the village settles into evening once again. The children gather beside the fire, listening as adults talk quietly about weather, crops, and village news. Their eyes grow heavy. The warmth of the cottage surrounds them. Outside, darkness slowly returns. Inside, another peaceful day comes to an end. And as the children drift toward sleep, our journey through medieval life continues.